Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen hier aus dem sonnigen Saarland hinaus in die Welt. Herzlich willkommen zu unserem heutigen Webcast zusammen mit Pierre von WATTECO und Soltan von co.met. Ganz herzlich willkommen an euch beide. Ihr könnt euch gleich noch kurz vorstellen, aber noch erstmal zu dem, was wir heute machen. Also wir haben heute zwei tolle Gäste hier. Das eine ist ein sehr geschätzter Partner von uns, der Soltan von der Firma co.met, die schon einige Lösungen umgesetzt haben mit den Produkten auch von WATTECO unter anderem. Und der Pierre von WATTECO ist natürlich auch da. WATTECO, ein Anbieter für LoRaWAN-Sensoren. Ja, und wir wollen uns heute mal anschauen, was für tolle Lösungen man mit WATTECO machen kann. Da kann uns der Pierre sicher sehr viel dazu erzählen, und die Präsentation von Pierre wird heute sprachlich in Englisch stattfinden, und der Soltan kann seine Präsentation gerne auch in Deutsch machen, weil er sitzt hier auch in der Nähe in Saarbrücken, also ein ganz schönes Hallo auch nach Saarbrücken. Ja, so I'd like to give everyone the chance to introduce himself. First, maybe to Soltan. Soltan, you're welcome to introduce yourself.
Guten Morgen zusammen. Soltan Horvath ist mein Name. Ich bin seitens co.met seit 2019 tätig. Ich leite die Stabsstelle für Produktentwicklung und Projektleitung im Digitalisierungsbereich.
Dankeschön. Now to you, Pierre, and you can then continue with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Christophe and Amy, for the invitation. So I'm Pierre Savary, in charge of export sales at WATTECO. And so in advance, my apologize for my English and my French accent, but I would like, but I'm not able to speak in German and to do this presentation in German, so I will continue in English. Thank you very much for your interest in WATTECO portfolio and to attend to this webcast. So I will quickly introduce WATTECO. I think it's not the more important topic of this webcast. And then I will switch quickly to use cases because it's definitely most interesting. And so we will get some different use cases, some overviews. And after I will hand over to Zoltan and co.met to explain what it's possible to do with the platform and services of co.met with WATTECO products, for instance. So few words about WATTECO. So WATTECO is an IoT device manufacturer, and I like to say that we are only an IoT device manufacturer, because in fact we don't deliver any connectivity, any IoT platform, any managed services or some stuff like that. In fact, we are focused on development and production of LoRaWAN IoT devices. And then, as an end customer, you have to work with guys and with companies like EME or co.met to deploy, to roll out your own full end-to-end IoT solution. So we design, we produce IoT devices since more than 15 years. We are a French company based in the west part of France. And as an IoT device manufacturer for us, what we mean by IoT devices, it's mainly wireless and autonomous devices. So battery-powered devices with very long battery lifespan. So depending on the use case, it could be between 3 years and up to 12 years, for instance. So radio communication, of course, LoRaWAN mainly with, very long-range communication. And for us, it's only a B2B market. So currently we are around 35 employees, and the total revenues for last year was around 5.5 million euros. So about our market, so we are mainly focused on smart building market and smart industry. And inside these both markets, we focus mainly two different use cases. So it will be energy efficiency, and predictive maintenance. And finally, these both main use cases in smart building and in smart industry. And so in that slide, you have a very short overview of some of our main customers and customers. So mainly around energy efficiency and also a lot of industrial companies. So as I said, we are focused on LoRaWAN devices, and we offer, I think, one of the wide IoT portfolio. So some of our devices are very, very simple, let's say basic, like, temperature and humidity sensor. And some of them on the other part of the portfolio are more tricky, like the vibration sensor. We will have a quick overview of this sensor later. So this is the Bob Assistant. So, and between these both sensor, we offer around 45 different devices. So some of them are for arch environment, so some of others are for room, like this one, for instance. We offer sometimes IP68 enclosure. So a lot of different certifications to offer, I think, one of the best-in-class portfolio of LoRaWAN products. So at WATTECO, so we are a pure player of IoT device manufacturing. As I said at the beginning, we focus on IoT devices. So we offer a lot of different key differentiators. So I think it's very important currently. We are a European manufacturer. We develop, we produce, all is done in France, so in Europe. So it's very important. The support is done in France too. And I think you could ask to Christophe and to the team of Christophe, but not only, all our customers, we offer a very high level of support to deploy your own application, to integrate our devices in your own platform. And so we offer all this kind of tool for support. We offer a very big stock of products, so lead time are very, very short, but it's not very important. So I move forward to the presentation. If you want to go deeply, especially about the support, how to integrate a WATTECO product, feel free to ask. We have a lot of free access to website, to tutorials, to codecs, of course, a GitHub repository. So it's free, so feel free to ask. And then I switch to use cases. So the most interesting point, I think so, during this webcast. So we offer a range of around 45 different devices. And with this portfolio, around 40 devices, we can deploy maybe hundreds of different use cases, because with one devices, as you can imagine, you can deploy several use cases. And so during the rest of the presentation, I will give you some example about what you can deploy with our devices. So first market, first use cases are around facility management, smart building. So, really classical use cases like air quality monitoring with temperature, humidity, CO2, VOC, for instance, measurement. And we offer a range of maybe 7, 8 different references to deploy, to manage this kind of use cases. So, for instance, the last reference that we released, this is the Climo. So a very, let's say, cheap device to deploy massive project. For facility management, we have more interesting use cases like this rooftop window monitoring system. So it's the name of the device is Inclino, and Inclino is dedicated to measure the tilt to measure the angle of a rooftop window, for instance. And we have some use cases where the facility manager have to monitor the smoke extractor of building, and with Inclino, this guy could be alert if a window is open or closed. So that's really efficient. Of course, we offer a range of temperature measurement devices. So, you know, in a building, for instance, in a school, in an hospital, it could be really interesting to measure the temperature of boilers, so the input and the output temperature, to detect if there is an issue with the level of temperature. So basically, to fight against Legionella, the water temperature have to be more than 55, 60 degrees. And with this kind of sensor, you can monitor the temperature on the pipe. There is a lot of different temperature sensors, some with remote sensors, some with only temperature. Sometimes it could be temperature and humidity. Sometimes there is also 2 remote probes. And finally, we offer also the possibility to get only the transceiver without probes. And in that case, you can integrate your own probe with your own range of measurement. So it could be really interesting, especially for industry, if you want to monitor some very high temperature, more than 300 degrees, for instance, 600 degrees. It's possible with a PT1000 external probe and this transceiver. Oh, sorry. The Ventilo is one of our bestsellers. We deploy several thousand of this device, and this device is dedicated to ventilation system monitoring. In fact, you know, there is some technical box on the rooftop of buildings in order to manage the ventilation inside the building. And in fact, by monitoring the difference of pressure on this technical technical ventilation system, you can detect if there is an issue on the ventilation system of the building. And so, thanks to Ventilo, you can measure both pressure, you can calculate the difference of pressure, and detect if there is an issue. So typically, this is a predictive maintenance and a maintenance use case for smart building. So with the Smart Pilot Wire, you can manage some electrical heaters. So this one, it's more dedicated to specific markets, depending if you use some electrical heater or not. And with the Intenso, for instance, you can detect if there is some unexpected current consumption, or if there is no current consumption on a specific machinery. So it's really efficient for maintenance too, because you can detect some power failure on a specific lift or escalator in a building, for instance. So that's just a really quick overview. And I continue with, you know, the smart metering use cases, and with a range of pulse reading solution. So we offer the pulse sensor, and in fact, there is a lot of different reference of pulse sensor. Basically, in each pulse sensor device, there is 3 different pulse inputs. And then, depending on the use case, if you want to monitor water, electricity, gas, or heat, you can choose between IP55 or IP68 enclosure. And of course, you can also choose the ATEX reference if you need it, especially for gas, as you know. So the flash show it's also very close to pulse sensor because in fact the flasho it's also a pulse reader, but with a specific optical probe in order to count the number of LED pulse, LED blink on your electricity meter. So it exists with one external probe or with 3 external probes, because sometimes in some technical room in building, there is a lot of different electricity meter very close, so it's possible to deploy only one flasho with 3 optical probes in order to reduce your cost of deployment. We offer also a very tricky Modbus to LoRaWAN devices, and this one is really efficient if you want to upgrade some existing installation where there is some existing electricity meter, especially. And in a lot of electricity meters, there is some Modbus output. So if you want to create a smart metering installation with existing electricity meters, you can use this Modbus to LoRaWAN transceiver, and then it will be possible to read remotely the existing installation. So that's very, very efficient. For, let's say, bigger installations, we offer the tri-phaso. So the tri-phaso is dedicated to 3-phase installation, but you can also deploy some sub-metering project with 3 monophase measurements. So with tri-phaso, we offer a range of 3 different references. So depending if you work on a building or in industry, it could be between not between, but up to 60 amps, 40 amps, or 4,000 amps. And so there is CT clamps delivered with the tri-phaso, and it's very easy to install, and then you can measure the voltage, the current, the quality of the electricity signal, so the cosinus phi, and also energies and powers, active, reactive. So all electricity parameters in order to know what is your consumption, but also the quality of your installation. Then we move to more industrial use cases. And so we switch to the vibration sensor. So this is the Bob Assistant. So this is this quite small sensor, very easy to deploy, very easy to install. And so this device, as I said, is a vibration sensor. And so you only have to put it on your machinery. It will learn automatically, thanks to some machine learning algorithm inside the device. So it will learn automatically the normal vibration of your machinery. And then it will continue to monitor your machinery in order to alarm you if there is any issue on this machinery. So that's, for instance, some typical machinery where you can deploy Bob Assistant. So typically air compressor, pumps, a lot of pumps, definitely. Any kind of fans, so ventilation systems, mainly. Motors for sure, gearboxes, motors, of course. I have very quick return on experience from a customer based in France. In fact, just to give you an idea of how Bob Assistant can help you, in an industrial bakery group, our customer was facing, let's say, unexpected production breakdown, production stoppages, because the floor sieves were clogging up. And so not only the production was halted for 2 hours, but workers, 10 or 12 workers on this production line have to stop to work during these 2 hours. And also all the pastries on this production line have to be put on the trash, on the bin, because of quality defects. So there is a lot of issue, as you can imagine. So no production, current production on the waste, and 10 workers that have nothing to do. So finally, thanks to Bob Assistant, they were able to detect when it was necessary to plan the cleaning of sieves. So that's definitely interesting for this kind of industry. So at the beginning, they evaluate the device, the Bob Assistant, on only 3 different sieves, but finally they deploy on all production plants. So there is several plants in France, and in all this kind of machinery, in order to increase the production process, and finally to also increase the maintenance process. So that's a really good use case, I think so. So we continue on industry, and we, let's say, switch to maybe oil, gas, and chemical industry with the Torreno. So Torreno, this is this device, and this one, I like to say this is the ATEX Swiss Army knife, so the LoRaWAN IoT Swiss Army knife, because in fact there is a lot of different interfaces in order to help you to deploy different use cases. So basically there is one 420 milliamps, 205 volt, and 3 pulses or dry contact inputs. And there is also 2 outputs in order to power supply external probes, external gauges that you can wire on the Torreno. So basically with Torreno, you can monitor some level. If you want to use a 420 milliamps interface to wire a liquid level, so it could be oil, it could be fertilizer, it could be water, of course, it could be gas oil. So it's a use case. With 0.5 volt, you can also measure some LPG level, thanks to Rochester gauge, for instance. As you can imagine, with 420 milliamps, you can also deploy some pressure measurement in your industry, in your plant. Then I switched to the always industry, but focus on railway industry. Not only railway, but at the beginning, the first project was on the railway industry. And in fact, we have this also tricky sensor, and this sensor, Accélero, is able to measure up to 400 G acceleration. So it's quite huge. And in fact, in this use case, the SNCF, so the French railway operator, was monitoring on the movement of the ballast. You know, the ballast is all the rocks in the railway, in the middle of railways, in order to stabilize railways. And in fact, by monitoring acceleration of train, of high-speed trains, they are able to know when they have to add some rocks, some ballast, and when they have to add and to put in place this ballast in order to reduce the vibration and to reduce the movement of railways. So it's a very specific use cases, but finally this quite massive deployment. I continue on the railway industry, but as you can imagine, it's not only for railway. This is a very, very easy use case, very easy and simple use case. It's only to monitor open and closed of doors. And so, you know, it's quite easy with IoT sensors. There is a lot of different IoT sensors to do that, but with the Closo, it's possible to deploy this use case for outdoor usage and especially for all kind of doors and gates. So it's a very arch enclosure, and it's specific for quite old gates and doors. And finally, this railway operator monitors all doors, very old doors and gates alongside railways in order to fight against wildlife intrusion on railways. So it's also quite specific use case, but it's also massive, finally, because there is a lot of doors and gates alongside of railways.
Pierre, maybe I can add to, oh, maybe you have it on the slide, I'm not sure, but I think the gimmick here is that it can really go measure a big gap between
Yes, exactly.
the sensor and the gate. You can guess it here. Normally, you would have to have a very close contact between the magnet on the right side and the sensor, and here it can be a big gap. You help me out on the distance you can make there.
Exactly. That's why we love to work with you, Christophe, because you add some value to the sensor and to the explanation. And in fact, as you explained, with Clozo, it's possible to manage up to 8 centimeters between the magnet and the transceiver. So more picture about the installation. And to go deeply with this sensor and to finalize with this sensor, there is also a specific button between the mass between the gate and the sensor in order to detect if there is some tamper, or if someone try to remove the sensor. In that case, you will receive an alarm. So I continue with the Monito. So Monito is a sensor with 2 different interfaces. So you can measure a DC voltage between 0 and 70 volts, and another interface to measure a voltage between 0 and 100 millivolts. But finally, the first use case that we deployed with Monito was to monitor cathodic protection, so rectifier of cathodic protection. In fact, when in your industry you have to fight against corrosion around pipes, so I'm sure that you use some cathodic protection, and this cathodic protection to be efficient, so deliver a voltage, and especially they push a current across around the pipe in order to decrease the corrosion. And by monitoring the voltage of the rectifier and the current, so you can measure the current thanks to an external shunt with the 100 millivolt interface. So by monitoring the current, you will be able to know if there is any issue with your cathodic protection, and if you have to plan some maintenance on this cathodic protection. So one more time, it's a maintenance use case. A new use case with Inclino, where we talk about this device at the beginning of the presentation. It was about rooftop monitoring. And with Inclino, so for sure, it's always a tilt measurement sensor, but also a shock detector sensor. You can manage any kind of mast, so electrical mast, telecom mast or pylon, where there is some, I don't know, some CCTV installation, for instance, or even, and it was the case in that project, to monitor some mast in rural environment, where sometimes there is some collision with trucks like this one. And finally, very often, without this kind of IoT sensor, the company is not aware about the collision. So thanks to this kind of IoT sensor, you will receive an alarm as soon as the collision occurs. And I will finish with the Inno product. So Inno is definitely one of our bestseller, maybe the bestseller for industry market at WATTECO portfolio. And so with Inno, there is a lot, definitely a lot of different use cases. And so it's quite simple to describe the Inno. So in fact, there is 10 digital inputs. So it could be used as direct contact input, but also as pulses input. So if you want to do some smart metering project with Inno, it's possible. There is up to 10 different inputs. And there is also 4 different output to manage, to pilot external relay. For instance, if you want to use it as an actuator, if you want to pilot, to switch on or off machinery or any kind of installation, you can do it with the Inno product. And so recently with Renault Group, you know, the manufacturer of cars, they deploy a lot of Inno in all their plants across Europe. So I think there is 11 plants in Europe. And in fact, they manage the position of sectional doors. You know, these industrial doors in plants, in industry. And in fact, they can open or close remotely these doors thanks to Inno, but also they can measure during how many times these large doors are open. And thanks to this measurement, it's they calculate a new insight in order to deliver energy efficiency performance program. Because in fact, when these doors, these huge doors are open, there is a lot of cold that come inside the plant or heat go outside the plant. And so in order to improve the energy efficiency of each plant, they use Inno in order to calculate, to measure the time during the opening of these doors. So it's really, really interesting. And of course, all these Inno products are also interfaced to existing PLC and SCADA system inside the plant. So that's a very interesting project. And only for this project, to give you an idea, it's around 700 different doors that are managed thanks to Inno. And so it's time, especially with the Inno, it's time to hand over to Zoltan, because I think so. Zoltan is also a lover of Inno, and he's also deploy a lot of different Inno. So please, Zoltan, it's your time, and so please continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I will share my monitor. I prepared everything in English with respect to you, that you are already understand what we are doing. For sure, on the end, if there are some questions, we can switch to German language. Can I share my monitor?
Yeah.
I have prepared a little presentation in this case. Yes. This one, so 1 moment. Do you see my monitor? Okay, I made a short introduction about the company co.met to know where we are, and we will start with a brief introduction in this case. So It founded in 2001. We are sitting in Saarbrücken, as already Christoph told before. Our shareholder is the Stadtwerke Saarbrücken GmbH. This is the city works of Saarbrücken, and we are general contractor as metering point operator, metering service provider, for sure for city works of Saarbrücken, and also for the Energiezahlung. This is one of the most bigger energy provider here in Saarland. We are developer, operator, and provider for cloud-based application and IT-supported processes, systems, and data services for metering. So we have a lot of different products, but I would like to focus mostly on our IoT sector. So to know what is our business area, so we as general contractor for Stadtwerke Saarbrücken, we are in charge for the maintenance and of the meter pool of over 130,000 electricity meters, over 41,000 gas meters, 42,000 water meter, and 10,000 district heating meters. But not only because we have every action here: planning, procurement, warehousing, logistics, disposition, installation, so everything around of the metering services. And on top, we have also around 25,000 utility meters from the Energiezahlung here in Saarland. But not only in our region, we are also Germany-wide. On work, we have sales specialists in 3 different locations. Out of Saarbrücken, we have in Hamburg, Munich, and Leipzig. And yeah, the company is big with 125 experts. We are in charge for over 650 customers from area of energy industry, municipality, distributors, local authorities, and ERP manufacturers. We are in charge for reading around, yesterday was corrected, up is 7.8 million metering points all over Germany. So in this case, we are working also analog. So we have reading cards, self-reading services, but is increasing in the last time during the digitalization that we are reading the meters remotely. So we have in our IoT world a lot of application, as already was discussing before. We have air quality monitoring, smart parking monitoring, soil moisture, indoor air monitoring, leak monitoring, smart waste, smart light, smart counting. So everything else, there are some alternative products to our core functionality what we do, practically the meter reading, the remote meter reading. We have already big areas all over Germany where we are network provider, LoRaWAN network provider, official registered, so we can do different other application. And because we are coming from the area from energy distribution and networks, energy networks. The mostly asked products from the WATTECO portfolio was really the in-O sensor, and mostly because our customers asked for a device which can be used as Class A, as battery operated, and also Class C as power supplied device, but mostly Class E was as autonomous, independent functional devices, which can monitor and send information even based if something's happened inside of the installation. And for sure at the moment we can you can remark 3 big use cases by our customers: the fault message monitoring for heating boilers. This is a facility management and energy supply company which use that. So they are looking if the pumps are faulty or something is happened in this boiler. So everything is on site, but nobody has the possibility to have a direct connection to monitor from distance this information. So they would like to make it faster and professional to monitor every information on site. So practically they get direct the information on screen what's happened on site with these boilers. The other was now in the transformation and decarbonization, there are a lot of heating systems was switched to pellet heating, and one big problem was to monitor the level of the pellets bunkers and storages. So and not in any situation you need to think about a complete new LoRa device which can measure this at this level. There are professional measuring equipment installed already. Everything what we need is just to transmit over the air the information, what is the actual status. It is half empty, it is on the limit, it must be refilled, or something other is happened in the situation. This is another interesting use cases. And in the network distribution and power distribution area, we have in the city works and utilities the short circuit monitoring for trafo stations, where you have the possibility to relay also this information if something wrong is happening inside of the transformation station. Also, they have a door contact because we have on the 10 inputs, so they have enough capacity to monitor everything else. So if the cabinet door is open, if something wrong's happened, is a short circuit has happened, or other devices which are already installed inside of the transformator station, but nobody can reach this information without to drive on site and look directly what's happened. And the information is in the first step for sure in our Progress IoT platform. Progress IoT is the name of our IoT platform, so they can make the commissioning, they can make the first analyzing and also visualization there, but the information are relayed through our platform directly to the SCADA system from the network operator, and we use for that the special protocol IEC 104. And this is how they are getting the information. So practically, we are just relaying the information over the LoRaWAN, and everything else is directly visualized and analyzed in the SCADA system. They are the most application. About the product itself, I know already the product back in 2018. I think that was the very first generation of the INO. It is a very complex and very, very nice product. You have a lot of programming model possibilities. It's not easy at the moment and the first look, because you need a little bit technical skills to understand how it is work, because you don't have a NFC or a USB interface. You must do this over downlinks. But the last time with the second version of this product, and also with improvement on the very, very good and informative support side from WATTECO, you have also packet decoders and encoders. So practically just to put together what you would like to have, and already you have the payload what you need to send to the device. And this is the most important thing, that you have anytime access and all the configuration, even if the device is remotely installed on the site. So practically you can make new configuration, new settings, new parameters. So you don't need to drive on site to do this. So we are very, very happy with this product. And as I told you, this is the most asked product from our customers.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Zoltan, for the praises for Pierre here. I think, yeah, what you say is exactly what we wanted to present today, is from a user experience side, what your experience was, and in this case, a very positive experience, and what the advantages are of using downlinks instead of probably maybe easier NFC, etc., to be able to maintain your field installations and give them a new life. In some cases, probably when you find out about new usages you could give the device. Yeah.
Yes. It's important for our customer that to maintain low data traffic a long battery lifetime, but also to have a reliable communication. So in this situation, we are using the devices, we program the device to send event-based messages. Now it is possible in one package to send all the status information from all entries, so in one data package. And on top, we have once a day a status information, which will be as a keep alive information sent that everything is fine, no changes. So practically, this is the main programming template what we use in our applications.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I would like to invite all of our participants, if they have any questions regarding the presentations now of Pierre or Zoltan in any language, as long as it's English or German, maybe French also.
We can talk with at least 2 other languages, so it's no problem from my side.
Yeah, you can give your questions now. Where is that possible? In the Q&A? Yeah, we have that here. The Q&A button should be on the lower side of your screen. You can use this or any other kind of communication. There is also a chat, I think, but I think the most common thing is the Q&A session. We'll see if there is some questions. One question is about to you, Pierre. You had the presentation with the Bob sensor, and there was the Bob installed twice on one machine. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. Yeah, on the picture, you see, in fact, it was on the sieves that there is not twice, but 3 different Bob assistant in this machinery, because in fact, it was at the really beginning of the project during the evaluation. And in fact, it was to determine, to know where is the best place to install the Bob assistant in order to get, let's say, more accuracy in terms of detection of the clogging. And so it was at the very beginning of the project, so 3 different Bob assistants per machinery. But for the next step, for the rollout, finally there is only 1 Bob assistant per machinery. So
okay,
it's because it's a picture at the
I understand.
evaluation
Okay.
of the project.
An additional question from my side, because I'm not sure if it was ever answered to me. What does Bob stand for?
Oh, in fact, Bob, you know, it's a surname of a lot of Robert. And,
Yeah.
I think at the beginning it was a game because there is a lot of Robert, or a lot of Bob in maintenance team. So
okay.
that's why currently this is the name of the product.
Yeah, I find it very neat because it breaks a little bit your normal naming of the products you have, and I think it's like kind of neat to have like such a normal name.
There is, so this is the real explanation, but why it's not exactly the name construction,
Yeah.
the other part of the range. It's because it's a device that we take over from another company. So we don't develop the really first release of the product.
I got that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so far there was the question if the presentation is going to be sent out after the webinar. Of course, we will do that, so everyone will get even the video can be seen afterwards. Also for the participants who couldn't make it today, that's a service we offer. So I'd like to conclude. From my side, I'd like to do that in German again. Ganz herzlichen Dank, Pierre. Ganz liebe Grüße nach Frankreich. Zoltan, sehr, sehr toll. Vielen lieben Dank für die Präsentation. Das war echt spitze. Es hat mir sehr gut gefallen, gerade die praktischen Ansätze, the practical Usages. Das war auf jeden Fall sehr gut, denke ich, für sehr, sehr viele Teilnehmer auch einmal zu sehen, nicht nur eine Produktpräsentation, sondern auch tatsächlich, wie man die Produkte einsetzen kann, mit einem super spannenden Bericht auch aus der ganz nahen Praxis von Soltan von co.met. Insofern gebe ich auch noch gerne mal das Wort an die Gäste. Die haben das letzte Wort bei uns. Ich verabschiede mich von hier aus auf jeden Fall schon mal, bedanke mich bei allen für die Teilnahme und wünsche viel Erfolg und eine schöne Zeit. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Pierre, you can now say a few words.
Yeah, one more time, thank you for the organization of this webcast, Christophe and Amy. And Zoltan, thank you for this testimonial. It's really nice tour for us. So thank you very much. And so feel free, if you have any question, to contact Christophe or to contact me. Feel free. Thank you very much.